There we go. That was Natalie Cole. This will be an everlasting day. Now that we have Magenta Marshall, and she's very kindly found time today to come in today. So thank you, Magenta.
Thank you so much for having me back.
And that song would have been way, way before your time, wouldn't it? Come on.
Do you know what year it came out? I'm not sure. I remember it as a child. It was on some of the rom-coms I watched growing up. A Hilary Duff movie comes to mind that I think that was in.
Really?
Yeah, and I loved Hilary Duff.
Oh, so you were a rom-com fan?
Yeah, definitely growing up. Now I can watch anything. Yeah, rom-com's a good escape though.
It would be, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Were you a Friends fan?
I was a Friends fan. It's been a while since I've watched it, but that's always great to put on.
It's always on still, isn't it? You'll find it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No matter what mode or headspace you're in, you can always jump straight back in.
Who is your favourite?
Go on. Sorry.
No, you're all right.
I've been watching Schitt's Creek, and I'm not swearing when I say that, but
no, you're not.
Because of the passing of Catherine O'Hara.
Oh, of course.
Week, and that's another. It's very similar to Friends, easygoing, fun watch.
Yeah, and it's good, isn't it? The characters were so interesting, and there wasn't really any nastiness like that. And that was a bit of, but it was good. Yeah, and I saw a picture of her. The picture was on camera about 2 or 3 months ago. She looked really sick.
Yeah. Yep, I hadn't seen that until she passed, but my sister showed it to me on the weekend. She said she aged a lot pretty quickly.
She did. Yeah. That's exactly right, yeah. I saw her actually. She was not a rom-com and probably before your time. Do you remember John Candy?
No, sorry.
He was in Planes, Trains, Automobiles and a lot of films, but he actually, digressing, did a lot of shows with Catherine O'Hara. I think Daniel Levy and David Levy are the two people who she did a lot of work with them. So they're all in a group from Canada, and they all sort of did a lot of things. Anyway, that was the John Candy thing I watched. So
sorry, I might have to add that to my watch list.
Oh, look, I reckon. I mean, it's a really lovely film. It's Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. It is such a lovely, lovely film. You know. Not rom-com, but in that sort of really feel-good, lovely movie. Anyway, I digress. We should be talking about what's going on in Rockingham, Magenta. Yeah. So I've done a little thing here.
Research.
A little bit of research is most unusual for me. I didn't realise. Look, I drive past. I drive along Reed Street all the time, and I've seen the building on the Rockingham High School.
Yep.
But I didn't know what it was. But I didn't know how much money is involved there.
A lot of money, $61.5 million for Rockingham Senior High School. It's essentially 2 schools on that one site because they've got the Rockingham Senior High School Education Support Centre, which have their own principal and governance structure as well.
Oh, really?
So, it's a really important school in our community. But $1.5 million. And those front works that you're seeing currently as you go down Reed Street, that is the Ed Support Centre.
Okay.
And they're going to be purpose building their own entrances as well, a designated bus area, so that their students can access the school more safely and the school community. But Rockingham Senior High School is a fantastic school. They've got a new principal there now, Donna McDonald, who is a local. She has been the president of the Palm Beach Rotary Club locally for a few years. So, she'd be someone you would, I think, connect well with. She does a lot to support Rockingham. And so her coming back to Rockingham Senior High School is fantastic because she has a love for our area and a passion for our students. So it's really exciting to get to work with her to deliver these upgrades that, will mean our kids have the best and most modern facilities, which they deserve. And
also Safety Bay High, I noticed as well.
Yep. $41.5 million for Safety Bay. A little bit less, but it is the one school on that site. And that's another great school in our community. They have a football program, soccer, which is the sport I love.
Do you love soccer?
Yeah.
How come you love soccer? That's just digressing.
My dad, really. He's always been involved in local football.
Oh, really?
When I was young, we would be at Warmba Strikers Soccer Club. He was the president there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I would always be dragged down there on the weekends, and then ended up playing. And I still do play.
Do you? What position do you play?
Well, I'm normally a centre back, but last year...
Oh!
Yeah, I love a tackle, but last year I was up front. So, yeah. I'm trying something different, trying to score goals now.
Yeah, you see a picture. I know I digress a lot. You see a picture of Magenta Marshall, and you think there is the architect, like the typical young mum, blah blah blah. And now you tell me you play centre back at soccer, and you like hard tack watches.
So you think people can be so fascinating, you know?
They can.
Never read a book, but judge a book by its cover. But no, I do love a tackle, and I do have to remind myself to behave. Parliament, you know, as a member of Parliament, sometimes on the pitch because you can get white line fever. But
really, oh my goodness!
But I love it because, yeah, it's hard to make the time, and I do feel as a player. Sorry, I've really digressed.
No, don't. It's good.
But for me, it's so good for my mental health. It's you know, I can't always commit to the training, and I do feel like I let my team down in that regard. But I always try and prioritise the games on the Sunday during the season, and for me, it's 90 minutes. Where I don't think about anything else, you know, not about being a mum, as bad as that might sound, but also not about being a member of Parliament, not about any of the challenges. You're just focused on the game ahead of you. And for me, I finish that game and think, that was good. That
and
was
it's
good
funny,
release.
We talk about digressing, which we have, but, you know, like if we have politicians on the air or whatever, and you know, I know you've got something like for a media site you want to read out, which is great. And I think, you know, talk about Rockingham High and Safety Bay High and the transport, I think it's all good. But I actually think, maybe it's just me, that people like to know a little bit about, you don't want to know your nitty gritty, but it's good to know, like, you play soccer.
Yeah.
And now I think for me, it's interesting. Oh, well, wow. You know, I never thought Magenta did that and this, that, the other. And I think it's people, it's like getting to know you rather than here's your local member.
Yep.
So,
and it's funny because I feel like I talk about football a lot and that I put it in everything. But obviously,
wow.
Yeah, you can't, you don't. And there's so many different messages to consume. So thanks for having me on so I could share a little bit more about me.
It's very important, and not last week, the week before, we had Lorna in here, the Mayor of Rockingham, and again, like I said, it's the easiest thing is to take pot shots, or why haven't done this, why haven't done that. You know, we got AUKUS coming, and there's going to be a gazillion things to do, and you can't do them all, and I just think some people's nose will be put out of joint. But that's going to happen when progress comes. You know, you can't have this. Like, you can't have Rockingham to all of a sudden becoming the point of attention and people moving here and then complain there's too many people.
It is a fine, it's a catch-22 and a bit of a balance act, because there are people in the community who actively say to me, we want to be a secret. We don't want tourism. Right. We don't want people here. Because of the lifestyle we have, and, you know, we have had a bit of a sleepy attitude in the past. Yeah. But then what comes with that is you're not going to have investment on the foreshore, and you're going to have to put up with derelict buildings because there isn't, you know, people willing to invest in the area. So it's a juggling act, and we're not always going to get it right. But I have been working with Lorna, the new mayor, since she's been elected, and you know, we really are trying to bring investment and attraction to the area, because then there's flow-on benefits to everyone who lives here. So.
Well, there is. And it's a huge task, and you know, I'm only talking, and I have no allegiance to Lorna or anybody, but if I ask a question, she has the facts. Yep. Like if you have to ask about the derelict Salvo's building, you know, bang, 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 or ask about it. So that's what you want from your, you know, and it's a bit
she's
like
hit the ground running, really,
hasn't she? Jeez.
Yeah, and she's great to work with. And I also just want to say I did love working with the former mayor, Deb Hamlin, as well.
Yes,
and, you know, she spent more than 20 years in local government in Rockingham, dedicated to our community. And so, just want to put on the record that she was fantastic to work with as well. And it's want the best for Rockingham.
I think so. And it's a thankless job at times, I would imagine.
Yeah.
You know, you can't keep all the people happy all of the time.
Definitely.
So, AUKUS, what can you tell us about AUKUS? Because I'm interested.
Yep. Well, for me, I know that AUKUS represents a once-in-a-generation opportunity for our community, but my focus is making sure that the people who've lived here for decades or years or months or even get to realise the benefits that AUKUS will bring. You know, we talk about all the jobs it's going to create, the people that are going to come here, and how we'll, you know, increase our sovereign capability as a country. But for the people living in Rockingham, I want to make sure that our daily lives aren't impacted too drastically. Of course, there's going to be increased growth, and growth does present challenges. But I think that there are many opportunities here to improve our local road network, healthcare, education. Obviously, we're doing some great things already with our 2 high schools. But for me, I want to make sure that people have their voices heard as well. This is obviously a big opportunity for Rockingham, and I think people who live here should have a say in our future, which is why I did have brought along the media statement from yesterday, which was the Premier Roger Cook came down, and I was with Mayor Lorna Buchan, and we announced the AUKUS Community Task Force, which is a 6-month task force for myself, Lorna, a few other stakeholders, including our federal member Madeline King, certain state and federal government agencies like Department of Planning, Lands and Heritage, the Australian Submarine Agency, to come together and to do some stakeholder engagement, but also public consultation with the community, and then put together a report and some recommendations to government for addressing some of the challenges in those spaces of transport, roads, health, housing, infrastructure, and community assets. To make sure that we have a say in what it is that we think our community needs, but also to make sure that there's more investment in Rockingham. That's always my goal, is to bring more investment to Rockingham. So we announced that yesterday. There's a link for people to fill out the survey, which is I've put on my Facebook, and I'm happy to email it to you if you'd to put it out on your own channels as well. But I just think that we need to be prepared for the growth that comes. There's obviously always growing pains. And I think it's a good position to be in, to have growing pains compared to the alternative, which is a lack of opportunity and people leaving the region.
Here, just a general question, like you mentioned, infrastructure. As the local member, what there's going to be obviously schools, hospitals, roads, etc., that come into this. Yep. What would you say is the most pressing? Is there one of those that are most pressing, do you think?
For me, the one that concerns me most is the roads, because I think there's already been some good announcements from the Commonwealth and Defence Housing around the Defence homes, and I know Defence are building a lot on HMAS Stirling on Garden Island. I got to go over last week for a handover ceremony of a patrol boat, and there's just cranes everywhere. There's a lot of construction, and there's a lot of dwellings being built over there, as well as Defence Housing announced last year that they have got contracts for new homes being built in Wellard, Waikiki, Golden Bay, so Baldivis, a number of those growth areas. So I think housing, as much as it's a challenge, there's already a lot of good work in that space. Education, already a lot of good work in that space. Health, we're delivering a mental health emergency centre at the hospital. But I'll always fight for more for the hospital. I think it's again a growing community.
It's one of those areas, again, irrespective of which government's in power, it's like a black hole health. The more you chuck in, the more they want, and it's really hard, to fix that problem, to fix that area. A bit like roads, and education. I think, it's so important. Education, getting to kids and educating them. So, it's so hard, and that's what we need. You've got to start from somewhere. So education's big. So do you have any idea of how many people are going to be coming to Rockingham Magenta or not?
Well, the numbers that I have from the federal government is 1,100 Defence personnel, including their families. And so that was part of the reason of this task force, is to get the actual numbers. And I know that there is, some secrecy involved with Defence for obvious reasons. Of course. But I do think we need to have a better understanding of the exact numbers in terms of, what are the kids' ages coming? Are they going to be primary school students, secondary? We want to make sure the people who live here are not impacted, and there's going to be enough spaces in our schools and classes. So I do think it's important we have some of that information, and that, through this task force, we're going to be able to put out a report that will have the facts in it, because I'm also aware that, a lack of information in this space means that, mistruths and conspiracies spread. And so it's important to me that we, put together the right information and that it's accessible to people.
Is there, again, irrespective of which government's in federal, irrespective, are the lines of communication sometimes hard with a federal government, no matter who it is?
I would say that, AUKUS and being AUKUS ready involves local, state and federal governments.
Yeah.
And that's hard. We've got so many different agencies. And that was where I was going to lead to my point before around the roads and the transport network being my biggest concern, is because we're not always the best at talking to one another, and we can work in silos. And that was really what led to this, the task force, is that I'd identified that with the Garden Island Highway, or the proposal there, there was no lead agency working on that. It had become, there was miscommunication, and understandably community get concerned about where things are at and why we're not able to deliver something. And that was really what led to the formation of let's get everyone in the same room and working together, putting together this task force so that we can, identify who's going to lead different responsibilities in terms of the road network. Like a lot of the roads accessing Garden Island are the responsibility of the local government, City of Rockingham, because they're local roads. However, they don't have a say in what happens at HMAS Stirling.
Of course, yeah.
So we all need to work together. Which is, as I said, what led to the idea of let's get a task force going and a working group so that we can all be together on the same page and make sure that the opportunities are realised and not,
So do you mean, will you be meeting often?
Yeah, so it is only for 6 months, the task force.
Oh,
but there are some other things happening alongside it, like a working group on local roads. That doesn't have a end date, but the task force does, so that we could prepare the report that will then go to the government for consideration, because there's going to be money associated with some of the recommendations we make. So the plan is for the task force to be meeting monthly, so once a month, with stakeholders on a range of different issues. So 1 month will be roads, 1 month will be health, education, but I imagine we'll have to meet more regularly than that to get everything done. So I think it's going to be a big piece of work for the year, but I'm really excited. I think for me, this is something that I want to make sure we get right for Rockingham, and so I'm really excited to be able to be in this role at this time.
How you've got AUKUS and obviously other things which come under the umbrella of the Rockingham electorate. How hard do you find it? AUKUS must be so big, but there's other things. So is it difficult to juggle your priorities?
It definitely can be. And something that we did over the break in my office, so the Christmas, New Year break, when it's been a little bit quieter in terms of, the community events, was put together a priorities spreadsheet. It's something that we've had previously, but we haven't, I guess, invested the time in putting some of those issues on there that, it might be months past, and then I'm like, hey, where did that get to? And we follow up. So now we have the big, it's huge, this spreadsheet, and there's a lot of red on there, there's a lot of orange, and there's a few bits of green, things that are under control. And that for me has been a good way of tracking some of these things, because you're right, otherwise you're juggling a lot of things, and things can get dropped. And there's no, there's no right or wrong way to do it, I think. We've just got to find what works for us. For me, there's so many different competing priorities. AUKUS is obviously one of the biggest opportunities and challenges, but activating Point Perrin, we have a recreation master plan. We've got money to deliver the toilets out there, but there's a number of other ambitions, including a cycle path, short-term accommodation like glamping and camping, which will be great to bring people to the area. So making sure that we deliver that. The Rockingham Discovery Centre, the one that was previously on Penguin Island, that's now been identified for Mersey Point, making sure that we keep progressing that commitment. The marina, I've talked about it, I think, with you previously. That's something that, is an ambition of mine, and it's a pretty big goal, I know. It's been talked about for decades. So there's a lot of that big picture stuff, but then really I think the everyday is working towards supporting people in Rockingham. I grew up in Coolangatta. I have always lived here. I love it here so much, and I guess what motivates me is, I know how how hard it can be living in Rockingham, growing up feeling that there weren't opportunities ahead, because at that time youth unemployment was really high, getting an apprenticeship was really hard. So that's what motivates me in the everyday, is that the people here, I think, should have, the best opportunities available. All the kids here should be supported to achieve their full potential. I know that I have been fortunate to have good support from my family and my friends and my colleagues, and so I've obviously put a lot of hard work to get to where I am, but I've also been fortunate in that sense, and I want to make sure that everyone here has that support and opportunity in their life.
It's so hard, isn't it? Like, and I agree 100% what you say. You need. It's such a balancing act too. Like, people, you got to have these, if you like, things that people can do to realise their full potential, but also people have got to want to. And I think you can lead a horse to water, but and I think that's the thing too, is that we have to get to people to say, look, we can do this, but we need you to do that. And that is difficult sometimes.
No, it is. I definitely agree. You can't force people.
You can't, and really that's what you want, but to get inside people's minds is that whether it's education or whatever, I don't know, But we do live, I never used to come to Rockingham. Well,
how long have you been here?
I've been here 7 years now.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you'd been here a lot longer.
No, I've done sort of like, Kingsley, Waroona, East Fremantle, and ended up in Rockingham. And my wife said, we should have moved here 20 years ago. And I said, but it was full of Commodores and things like that. But now, I'm not saying, I don't care what people drive, but it's a joke. But what I find is that...
We had a Holden when I was growing up.
Did you?
Nothing wrong with it.
No, there's not. And that's but Rockingham, as you talk to people who haven't been to Rockingham for 10 or 15 years, that's a perception.
Yeah.
And it's so far from the reality nowadays.
Absolutely. And I find it so funny. During election times, when you do have journalists come down from some of the big media, and they have never come to Rockingham before because they, Mark McGowan was previously campaigning elsewhere, and then they look around and they think, oh, Rockingham's actually really nice. Yeah, it is.
Oh, look.
And again, it goes back to that. We've been a secret for a while. People have tried to keep it under wraps. But I do think the perception is changing around.
Oh, undoubtedly.
And,
and once August comes, and once, like the foreshore there, you can see that the Rockingham Hotel, where it was, is going to be built, and it's sort of, and with all the influx of people, I think it's a great place to be.
Definitely. And I think it's something that I do give as a credit to IPL, is that you do a lot of work in promoting positive stories and news, because I think we can, in politics and in journalism, often look at just the negatives and the issues and the challenges, because rightfully so we want to address them, but we're so divided, and I think if you look on social media at times, you could think that it's an awful place to be and that there's so many things wrong, because we forget to celebrate the good and the positive things that are happening. And there's so many positive stories here.
And it only takes one or two unusual posts, and you think, and I read some of them, I think, like, seriously, you just... And things happen, Magenta, that, you can't change a lot of things. I know we can talk to you and this, that, and the other, but there's certain things which, you can't change. So you have to accept them and think, oh, well, yeah. And there is good things in most things, I think, if you look at them. But it's great that you come in here and you're all bubbly. I'm not nastily, but, positive about Rockingham. Yeah. And that's what we want.
Definitely, yeah. I was just going to say, I feel fortunate in this job that I get to meet so many people in community groups. Not everyone has the time for that. And that's what I think gives me a lot of energy, because there are so many people in Rockingham working hard to improve the life of others. I mentioned the principal at Rockingham before, Donna, involved in Palm Beach Rotary. Their volunteers are incredible. The things they do. They had the Rockingham Beach Cup. In November,
course, that's
they brought
right.
to Rockingham. recently I saw they were volunteering on the weekend for the triathlon that was happening out in Shoalwater. Last
saw
week,
that.
I was with the Rockingham Lions Club. They were doing the sausage sizzle for Australia Day. There are so many people and groups here that volunteer their time just to improve Rockingham and support others, and it's incredible.
Since I've been doing this, I'm amazed in the amount of whether we're women's refuges or local op shops or Rotary clubs or the Penguins of Rockingham, for example. Yeah. There are, like you say this, and you think, wow, there are so many groups in Rockingham.
So many.
And it honestly, it's great, and, you can go to your local footy club or soccer club, so that's also good, to get behind them, I think, is great. And I just did notice, like it's easy to be negative, but, I remember when I was growing up, it absolutely, and this is not a plug, I'm just saying fact, when I was growing up in Melbourne, it cost you, we were able to get a yearly train ticket, which cost an absolute fortune.
Yep.
But now, public transport's so cheap.
Yeah, well, that was something that changed on the 1st of January this year, was public transport became even cheaper. It's now the one zone fare across the metro area, which is $2.80 if you have an Autoload Smart Rider, or $3.50 if you're paying cash. And a family day rider, I think, is now $7. It's dropped as well. And I know for people in Rockingham, it would have a huge difference. For me, my job before this involved me travelling to the city 5 days a week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'd often get the train. And when it changed in 2022, I believe, to 2 zones, capped at $4.80, that was a massive difference for me. That was halving the cost, and essentially it's almost halved again. So I know that has a big cost of living impact.
It's huge. Again, going back in my day, it was they wanted the public transport to make money. Obviously, it never did. And I think now they think, well, we're never going to make money anyway, so why not, give a little bit of a benefit back.
Better for the environment, better for the congestion.
It's
better for productivity, I find. I'm much better when, those days when I would be, because even going to Parliament, I've occasionally got the train, not as much as I would like to. And you can either do some emails or you can read a book or whatever it is, and then you get there and you're in a much better headspace than if you've been stuck in traffic for the hour.
And again, it's like we said before about health, main roads and education. Like a friend of mine works at main roads, and he said that you can't win. Like you put an extra lane in, by the time you put it in, and you go to the city from Rockingham, and it's so much better by train and generally quicker.
Yep.
So, and I think we got a great public transport, and it's getting better. Now, if you want to go to Thornley, I think you can get off at Coburn and zap across. So, it's all getting better. Yep. But that's just, when people say it's progress, this other, but it's a slow thing. I always think this, Magenta, you can correct me, like whether it be state or federal government, you've got $1, which you can spend, but you've only got $1. So if you want to spend 20 cents here, that means that somebody's not going to get, and that's whether it be education.
It's a matter of priorities, yep.
It is.
Yeah.
What would your priority be? If somebody said you've got a gazillion dollars, Magenta, so... I
would love that. I could do a lot with a gazillion dollars.
I don't know how much a gazillion is.
Yeah. Oh, for me, as much to spend in Rockingham as possible. I said before, I've got some of those priorities with Point Perrin, Discovery Centre, Marina. I think for me, because they represent economic diversification, because they bring tourists and people to our region, which spend money and provide local jobs. Health and education are always the biggest ones. I got into politics predominantly around education. I used to be a volunteer teacher in Indonesia when I was over there studying.
Wow, really?
Yeah. And when, as I said, growing up here, TAFE was really unaffordable. To get an apprenticeship was really hard. My parents, neither of them finished high school.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I was the first in my family to go to university.
Seriously?
Yeah, and so I really recognise that education opens up so many opportunities for people, and that's what led me to becoming more political and getting involved as in student politics. So undoubtedly, education, you could never spend enough in, investing in our kids and their future, and then health, because we all deserve access to quality healthcare. So I think that'd probably be my biggest priorities. It's Rockingham investment, health, education, and support for people.
Well, it's been great, and I know I was just going through my song list. I've got there's about 16,000 on everybody's song list. Who would you, when growing up, being a teenager, did you like any sort, or even in your 20s, was there any sort of music that you thought, I really like them?
It's funny, I could listen to anything. I have such a broad music taste. Growing up, I really liked Britney Spears.
Oh, really?
But I think that was me really railing against my parents.
Oh, I love it.
But I still do love some of her bangers. But now what I'm drawn to is the music my parents listened to. It's Led Zeppelin, Radiohead, the Beatles. They're the things that...
Really?
Yeah, I love to listen to, as well as Australian indie music like Spacey Jane, Lime Cordiale. I do love them. San Cisco. My favourite song at the moment that I was listening to this morning with Bowie was While My Guitar Weeps by the Beatles.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know why. It's just been in my head a lot lately.
Yeah. It was George Harrison, I think, one of the Beatles. I think he wrote it and sang that one, I think, anyway.
Yes, I believe you're right. After the split.
That's right.
Something about that song. It is also... because recently I did rewatch the video with Prince. They did a tribute version of that song.
Oh,
and Prince
okay.
was playing the guitar. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, it's music's one of those things that it can suit any mood. If you're not unhappy, you can. You're medium, or if you're happy, it doesn't matter. You can dance to it and this, that, the other. I think it's it's a bit like a connection.
Definitely.
And if you've got a connection with an artist or what he says, I'm not huge on artists getting political. I'm not huge on that. I came to watch
them for their art. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's been great having you in.
Thank you so much.
It's just. It's always good.
Yeah, it's always interesting.
Well, I try, as I say, if I was, if I'm a member of Rockingham at Magenta, I think, I know, we're going to talk about this, but, my guitar gently weeps and your young daughter being 18 months and starting, and walking and doing things.
And she loves music, actually.
Oh, really?
She's one of the reasons we listen to so much music at the moment. Is because she's always saying doo-doo. That's her way of saying music.
Oh, really?
And she loves David Bowie, which is fitting because that's her name is Bowie.
Is that right?
Yeah, her name's Bowie. And so we always put that on, and Chapel Roan. She's a pop music.
Just don't look at what you wore to the...
that was a bit interesting, wasn't it?
Oh, no.
But her song Pink Pony Club is one of Bowie's favourites.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah.
It's funny, just before you go, do you know it's funny how, segues that way? What are they called, segue?
Segue, yeah.
Yeah. You said Bowie and you like David Bowie. I watched there's a special on Channel 2 not too long ago about David Bowie. I didn't realise, I grew up when he was popular, and I thought, he's quite good, don't want his music. But when you actually listen to some of the lyrics, like with his androgynous, when he went into man, woman, and he sang the song Rebel, Rebel, I don't know if I'm a boy or a girl, and I think, hold on, that was like 50 years ago. Yeah. You get Lady Gaga coming up with all this unusual stuff. Yeah. And I think, but he was doing it 50 years ago. He was...
in a very different time.
He was. He was just so innovative.
Yeah.
He could do anything. He could act. He could paint. He could write songs. He was a poet. Yeah. But he was,
Genius,
just, I think so.
One of my favourite movies as a kid was The Labyrinth, which he's in.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And that's so weird. It's such a weird movie.
There you go. So there you go. Yeah. Thanks, Gates Magenta. It's been great. And if I have a question, I'll follow that link.
Yeah.
And
I want to hear from as many people as possible.
And that's a great thing.
Get the word out.
Magenta's got a Facebook page and also an email address. Yep. And, I say to people, rather than have a bitch, write in and ask a question.
Yeah.
And like you say,
hear from people, and
of course,
even if it's not an issue, but it's an idea on how we could improve the community or something at a state level.
Thanks
It's a long time
again.
for Rockingham.
It's been great having you,
Thanks so much.
Magenta, and we'll catch up again hopefully before the end of the year.
I'm sure we will. Thank you.
Okay.